For decades, the Japanese home was defined by quiet stillness. It was a highly formal space built around a strict set of social customs. The architectural centerpiece was the washitsu, or traditional Japanese-style room. Featuring tatami mats and a raised alcove called a tokonoma, this room was designed almost entirely for other people. It served as a formal reception area, or a dedicated space for guests to sleep. It also served as the spiritual anchor of the household. This room provided the appropriate setting for a butsudan, a Buddhist altar, and was the location for families to host the vigil before a cremation. But looking at this animated chart tracking new custom home builds, those dedicated traditional rooms are vanishing. In 2018, nearly 60% included a washitsu. By 2024, that rate collapsed to 23.5%. Over that same 4-year period, homes built without outdoor balconies tripled. The data reveals an aggressive rejection of the home as a static social showcase. Modern residents are actively stripping away spaces meant for guests and rebuilding their homes for hyper-efficient everyday survival. The disappearance of the outdoor balcony directly correlates with the rise of the indoor laundry room. Dual-income families are actively swapping exterior drying space for dedicated, weatherproof indoor utility zones. This interior swap is driven by an obsession with taipa, a concept meaning time performance or the pursuit of maximum efficiency in daily tasks. Taipa logic classifies the traditional balcony as a high-maintenance liability. These dust-collecting spaces add unnecessary friction to the daily workflow, especially when compared to the reliability of a controlled indoor climate. Similarly, workflows born out of the pandemic have solidified into permanent layouts. Rather than walking through the house to a bathroom, new custom builds frequently place a hand-washing sink immediately inside the front entryway to eliminate interior travel time. By cutting out legacy spaces and replacing them with highly optimized, chore-specific zones, the physical layout of the house actively reduces housework and buys back hours of free time. These demands collide with severe economic pressures. Extreme urban density and skyrocketing construction costs mean modern buyers settle for significantly smaller residential lots. To compensate, designers are maximizing spec PA, or space performance. Rather than building large, rigid rooms, they use movable walls and flexible zoning to make small areas serve entirely different functions depending on the time of day. This adaptability relies entirely on Japan's major home builders, who construct these units in controlled factories. They use millimeter-precise modular framing that allows intricate interior features to be manufactured off-site and quickly assembled. Within these flexible floor plans, architects are carving out mini sanctuaries, small, private work nooks tucked under stairs or into the corners of living rooms. This gives remote workers a quiet place to focus without isolating them from the rest of the household. Perfecting space performance means a family can purchase a highly compact footprint today and effortlessly reconfigure those exact same square feet to fit their needs over the next 20 years. Beyond the interior layout, the exterior shell is undergoing a massive change. Energy consumption has transitioned into a fundamental infrastructure crisis, transcending its former status as a mere utility concern. In response, the Japanese government implemented mandatory energy-saving standards for 2025. This elevated systems like the Net Zero Energy House Plus from a luxury option to an absolute baseline requirement for new builds. To meet this standard, homes are constructed with extreme high-grade insulation and topped with mandatory solar arrays designed to zero out the building's annual energy consumption. These systems also wire directly into electric vehicles. Through bidirectional charging stations, the car itself functions as a massive, functional backup battery for the house. With a tightly insulated shell, active solar generation, and deep battery storage, the home stops acting as a passive drain on the local grid and operates as its own self-sufficient power plant. Inside these highly efficient shells, residents are dealing with deep psychological exhaustion. Modern workers spend their days bombarded by the digital clamor of glowing screens, leading to severe sensory burnout. To combat this fatigue, architects are moving away from the sterile, flat modernism of the past decade. They are replacing it with a hybrid aesthetic, heavily focused on organic, soothing elements. Designers refer to this as tactile silence. They use deep terracotta and olive tones, alongside heavily textured materials like fluffy boucle fabrics and raw wood, intentionally chosen to engage the fingertips and physically ground the resident. This biological approach extends to the architecture itself. Decorative houseplants are being swapped for functional breathing walls, constructed from rammed earth or mycelium insulation, which passively regulate indoor humidity and filter pollutants. This infographic highlights a trend: the decline of the voice command smart home. Because residents are exhausted by constant interaction, homes now use invisible tech, background AI sensors that learn a family's daily rhythms and quietly adjust lighting and climate without requiring a spoken prompt. Residential luxury now stems from a home's ability to silently soothe the human nervous system, mattering far more than the number of smart screens installed in the living room. Look closely at the modern Japanese home, and you find a massive contradiction. On the outside, it's a masterpiece of rigid, robotic efficiency. On the inside, it operates as a deeply organic, sensory-calming biological sanctuary. Shrinking urban space, volatile energy costs, and the exhaustion of digital burnout are not exclusively Japanese problems. They are universal pressures facing every modern city. While the decline of traditional architecture feels like a cultural sacrifice, it forced the creation of a highly exportable survival model. Architecture now operates as an active, highly engineered partner, built specifically to defend its residents from the friction of the 21st century.